Okay, 3 o'clock. If we could all please stand, and Mr. Hodges, if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. This is the Planning and Zoning Board. It's an advisory board which makes recommendations to the county commissioners who will make the final decisions on all these items. Items H1, H5, and H7 on today's agenda will be heard by the county commission on April 15th. Item H6 will be heard by the county commission on March 23rd. When a motion ends in any kind of split vote, a roll call vote may be taken to ensure accuracy. As a reminder, each member who makes a motion or a second needs to turn on their microphone on so that your voice could be heard on record. At this time, if any board member has any ex parte communication regarding any application, please disclose so now.
On item H6, our firm has been retained to work with the applicant, so will not be voting on that item.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, we need to have approval for the P&Z minutes from February 8th, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes from February 8th, 2021.
I'll second the motion.
A motion by Pete, a second by Joe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously. Okay, item H1.
Item H1, all space storage requests a change of zoning classification from BU1 to BU2. This is on tax account number 2317234 in the District 1 area.
And you're the applicant. If you could state your name and address, please, sir, for the record.
Yes, sir. I'm John Campbell. I'm a land surveyor, and I have my business on Merritt Island, Florida. I'm here with my client, Bob Grossman. We're here to present our motion to get our zoning change. I am Mr. Grossman's expert to technical things. Both he and I plan to talk. Me to address the staff comments that are been given to the rest of y'all, and also to present a couple of exhibits to put forth what we're trying to get done.
Okay.
Okay. Our first thing that we'd like to do is pass out some handouts, if I may, to the chairman or to Don.
Can we get one of those too, John, for our
Yes.
file?
Yes. Everybody get one? Peter, do you need one? Sure. All right, the first thing we'd like to show you is an aerial photograph of the area showing where Mr. Grossman's property is at, the relationship to other properties around it. We're in a business corridor, which is US 1. My review of the staff comments is toward the compatibility of the request for the zoning. One is that is it in compliance with the future land use requirements, which it is. Staff does tell you that. Is it compatible with adjacent properties? There's BU2 immediately adjacent to the north of us. Bob, if you'll turn that zoning thing over there, next page. This will give you an idea of the existing zoning that's around us. You can see that most of it is in the business use. There is a subdivision to the west of us, immediately north of us and adjacent to us, by way of the street adjacent, is property that's presently zoned BU2, and we have BU1 to the south of us. The site, the capacity of US1 to handle the traffic is there. Staff has said that we've got plenty of room. We're served by the city of Cocoa for water purposes, which we have adequacy and concurrency to do that. The existing site that's on the property, and Bob, if you could turn over to our survey, it'll show the location of the existing building on the site, along with what we plan to, our client and I plan to bring forth. The existing site has been used for commercial purposes for a long time, since I believe 2002. It has existing BU1 zoning on it now. The reason for requesting BU2 is for the wholesale sale of ice. I'm going to let Mr. Brosman tell you about what he does for a living and why he needs an ice place there. Bob?
Thank you. Well, we also do storage, but we have an ice company that we manufacture ice. We're in over 30 stores right now that we make ice for, and we are out of room where we are currently, so we'd like to make more in that building. Since it's already owned by our company, is where we would like to do that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Ron?
had a question. Are you making ice in this existing facility here, or are you making it someplace else?
Someplace else.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, someplace else.
Thank you.
I believe the ice is presently being made at Mr. Brosman's facility, All Space Storage. It's about 3/4 of a mile south of this site. And like a lot of other things, it's outgrown its capacity to be where it's at, and needs more room.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Just to confirm, you're going to continue making ice at your current facility and then transport it to the new facility, to this parcel here?
No, this parcel is not being used right now for making any ice at all.
But you would store ice there after making it at your current facility?
We would make it there at that location.
Okay, gotcha. So you'd have both facilities making ice?
No, we would no longer make it at the storage facility.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
I have another question for you. What is the process you use to make ice? The only one I'm familiar with is when I was a kid, there was an ice factory that used ammonia. And the place smelled like ammonia, and you didn't want to go down there because you'd eyes water and all. And are you using that same kind of process? And
No, we don't
could you
use,
address that?
We're not using ammonia. At this time, there's two different methods, and we don't have the knowledge at this point to review the two different types. There is ammonia, but there's another method as well when you're manufacturing mass quantities of ice. Right now, we have 5 ice machines, and we probably will add another 4 to 5. And what we do is we would like to automate our making of the ice. At this time, it's pretty much manual. So
Do those machines, are you using a newer technology, and does it use like carbon dioxide or some mixture?
we're using the old-fashioned style right now. We have basically ice makers that just they dump into a bin and they're manually bagged, and it's just a water process right now. So.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to say, sir?
No, but something that did come up recently, Bob was also thinking about putting a retail kiosk there at a later date for possibly people to come up in the event of a hurricane, have the ability to have ice. It's just something that he's thinking about doing. I think the first thing that's going to happen on the site is that we're going to be moving some stuff. We're going to have some containers out there The next thing would be to go to modify the building and change it into an ice facility, but there would be a temporary storage of pod units until such time as the ice manufacturing starts, which is, we need the BU2 zoning for also.
Okay.
One other question. Are you going to be using the existing buildings, or are you going to be creating new buildings on this site?
Well, we'll be using existing, it's a 3,500 square foot building at this time, so right now it would be adequate, but there's possibility in the future of adding another building.
Okay.
Is that all you have there?
That's just about it. I think it shows that we're compatible with the neighborhood, compatible with future land use. We're not impacting any schools. It's something that I think would serve our community, and we respectfully ask for your approval.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience would like to speak for or against this item? Well, that's good news. Hearing that, I bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
make a motion that we recommend approval of this zoning change.
Okay.
I'd second it.
We got a motion by Mr. Ron, a second by Joe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed unanimously.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Board.
Okay, thank you. And our next item, H2, and that's you.
Candaloo LLC is represented by David Menzel. They're requesting a change of zoning classification from BU1 to BU2 on tax account number 2605988, District 4.
Hi, I'm Aaron. Dave is en route. He got behind an accident on 95. Should be off. Is there any way we can push this one up until he gets here? He's got all the paperwork and information. He is en route, but he should be here momentarily.
I don't know that I can push it up, but we can put it to the end.
Oh, if we can put it to the end, that would be great. That's what I mean.
Let me
Not push it up.
clarify that.
Is that okay?
Am I good to go?
Yes, you can reorder the agenda so you can hear it when they arrive.
Okay,
Thank you.
we'll hold H2 till later.
Thank you.
We'll move to H3.
H3, SDLD LLC, represented by Scott Damaso, is requesting a change of zoning classification from AU to EU. That's on tax accounts 2501421 and 2501422.
And are you the applicant, sir?
I am, sir.
Okay, if you could state your name and address for the record there.
Scott Damaso, 977 South Tropical Trail, Merritt Island.
And what are you looking to do there, Mr. Scott?
I want to build two houses on those two lots, and the AU zoning required lots to be in excess of an acre, and the EU doesn't have that same requirement. And there's all the same, I guess there's some EU real close to it, and there's some old AUs around there that were built prior, and just two residential lots. They're about 0.44 and 0.45 acres to two lots.
Does the board have any questions for him?
Just a concern for the applicant here. I'm reading here, in addition to the rezoning, the applicant must show how the lots satisfy the access requirements of section 62-102 to obtain a building permit. Are you aware of that, sir?
I am, and I'm trying to work with Tad on, there is a road there that I own, another piece of property at the end of the road. It's an old ingress easement that's there for 30 feet, and I own 30 feet, so there's 60 feet there. There's got to be some way to be able to use it, but the first step was to change the zoning, because without the zoning being changed, you can't build a house there. So that was the first step, and then we'll figure out the next step.
All right. Thanks, sir.
I don't agree with the ingress thing, but I do agree with the zoning that we need to get that changed.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience would like to speak for or against this item? We're batting 1,000. Any other questions for the applicant?
With the concern noted, and applicants are well aware, I'll make a motion to approve item H3. Or-
I'd second it, yes.
Well, Brian beat you to it.
Okay.
We got a motion by Pete, we got a second by Brian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed unanimously.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. H4 is Robert Van Horn, Gerald K. Houck. They're requesting a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment to change the future land use designation from neighborhood commercial to community commercial. Case file number 21PZ00001. This is in District 2. There's also a companion zoning application with this, and this is H5, Robert Van Horn, Gerald K. Houck, requesting a change of zoning classification from RU19 to BU2. This is case file 21Z00004, also in District 2. I'll just stay here in case anyone had any questions of me.
So is the applicant here? And sir, if you could state your name and address for the record.
All right, I'm Gerald Houck at 640 North Tropical Trail, Merritt Island, 32953.
And just a little bit about what you're wanting to do and looking to do there.
If it's all right with you, I'm not familiar with the process, and John is. Can he speak for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is John Bond, 8931 Lake Drive in Cape Canaveral, and I'm their friend, but I'm also the real estate broker. And what they're trying to do, they own several buildings in the area, and this was a house, I believe, for the last 60 years, and it's the only one in that entire area that's completely surrounded by BU2. It would certainly make sense to go ahead and make this BU2 as well. And these gentlemen produce world-class antique automobiles, and they want to upgrade. And at this point, the plan is to go ahead and consolidate facilities into one facility, and that would certainly be tasteful and commensurate to the area, and of course up to modern codes and environmental whatever else. And so, you have any questions?
Board, we got any questions for the applicant?
The house itself is functionally obsolete and really needs to go away instead of just being upgraded.
So you plan on building new?
Correct.
Anyone in the audience would like to speak for or against this item? We're doing good. Mr. Moya?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the request for the land use amendment.
I'd second it.
We got a motion by Bruce, a second by Joe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That
Thank you,
motion
gentlemen.
passed unanimously.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you,
and
Sean.
now I'll make a motion to approve the rezoning request to BU2.
This is item H5.
Right.
The first request was H4, right?
That was the land use.
Yeah.
This is for the rezoning.
So now a motion on H5 by Bruce,
I'd second it.
a second by Joe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed
All
unanimously.
right. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good day.
All right, thank you.
Item number H6 is the 5971 Cedar Lake Drive Revocable Land Trust and US 1 Highway Number 1 Commercial Land Trust, represented by Kimber Zanka. They're requesting a change of classification from RU1-11, TR2, and BU1 with a binding development plan to TR1 with a binding development plan limited to 150 units. This is tax account number, several tax account numbers, the first one being 2310971, 2310861, and 2316173 in District 1.
Okay, I'd also let it known that Mr. Moyer has recused himself from this item. Hello, Ms. Kim.
Hello, how are you?
Great.
Good. My name is Kim Rosenka. I'm with the law firm of Lacey Lyons Rosenka. I'm here on behalf of the owner. There are two owners that are in your package, and the developer, which is Home and Project Administration LLC. The developer's representative is Nick DeTore, and the green mask, he's there with me as well, and he will present right after I will. These people are in the audience because of this item, so I'm breaking your record tonight. It was a long meeting at the Port St. John Special District Board meeting. I have a lot of handouts. They're all in your packet. I just wasn't sure if you all had all of the materials in front of you. I mean, I have the concept plan. Has everyone seen the concept plan? Okay, all right. And then there was a large packet that I presented to the Port St. John Special Dependent District. It was 16, 17 pages.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure. I know sometimes they don't always.
Oh, we have Jennifer. She's on it.
I know she is, but again, I didn't know if anyone wanted an extra copy because it's way down in the packet. There's lots of emails in there and things like that. So to begin, this is intended to be an infill development. It is a manufactured home development on 58 acres. This includes a small TR2 parcel of a half acre. It's the parcel that's at the south. That's TR2, which is 1/2 acre lots. Then it includes almost 51 acres of RU111. And then it includes a commercial lot, BU1, that is behind the Winn-Dixie. That's a 7-acre parcel. Currently, there's RU111 zoning on this with a binding development plan limiting the 51 acres to 154 units. We're proposing 150 units on 58 acres for a TR1. The TR1 lot size is identical to the RU111, 6,500 square feet, just the configuration is different. The RU111 requires 65 by 100, no, excuse me, 75 by 75, and the TR1 is 65 by 100. So we're requesting TR1 on all of this 58 acres, removal of a BDP from 2006, and inclusion of a new BDP, which limits the units to 150. There's a buffer to the south, as was in the 2006 binding development plan. And also, the entire subdivision will have a 15-foot subdivision buffer, which has been a concern. The emails think there's only a 7.5 rear setback. You all know there's a subdivision buffer of 15 feet, natural buffer, and then the rear setbacks for each of the lots. And as seen by the concept plan, I mean, there will be the lots along the north. The northern lots abut an old Port St. John development, Port St. John Unit 1, which is a very large plat in Port St. John. It abuts to the east is Clearview Terrace Mobile Home, which is also TR1. And then to the south is Cedar Lake Mobile Homes, which are 1/2 acre lots. And there are also other manufactured home communities in the area, mobile home parks and things of that nature. We held an informational meeting on January 19th of 2021. There were 36 attendees at the Port St. John. There were a lot of questions, not a lot of concerns. People were more interested in what was going to go there. There were many concerns raised by emails to you all and at the Port St. John meeting, which I will discuss later. This history of the property is laid out to some extent in the staff comments. This was first rezoned in 1990 to RU111. It was previously TR1, and it was limited to 154 lots on the 51 acres back in 1990. This development was approved over 30 years ago, so all of these complaints of I didn't know development would go here, it was in the public record since 1990 that RU111 and 154 lots would go here at the same size as we're requesting today. The 2006 binding development plan merely added a few items, but really was no access on Vineland. And that's why that's in the current binding development plan. Not that we would ever intend to use Vineland, it's not really feasible, Vineland is the road to the north in the Port St. John Unit 1 development, and we do not ever intend to do it, but because it was in 2006, we put it in this one as well. There's been a concern that we have two accesses to this 150-unit project, one off of Clearview Drive, which is the northern road, and then there's one to the south, Cedar Lake Drive, which comes off another road called Broadway. The 2006 binding development plan limited access to Clear Lake Drive except for emergency access, and frankly, the developer does not mind whatever the boards determine. We think it's not fair to put all of the traffic onto Clearview, but if that's what the board believes is appropriate, the developer is fine with that. Per the staff report, there's no road or school issues. City water will be brought to the site, and Cocoa sewer is proposed. The county's sewer plant does not have enough capacity, so if we do not bring sewer from Camp Road or from another manner, then we would have to use the high-end nutrient reduction septic tanks and have quarter-acre lots. That is not the intent. That's not what the developer wants. He intends to bring city sewer, City of Cocoa sewer, through the Watermark PUD subdivision that's off of Camp Road that Mr. Moyer has worked on, or there is another method to get it there, which is about 7/10 of an acre. So sewer is to be brought there, and that is the intent. Otherwise, these can't be developed at this intensity. There have been many issues raised about tortoises, scrub jays, wetlands, things like that. The Land Development Code does not require an environmental study for zoning. It's not in 621151. It's only required for commercial and industrial rezoning request, and this is a residential rezoning request. There have been 2 environmental studies out there. There are gopher turtles. They can be properly relocated. The scrub jay survey is beginning this week or next. It can only be done in March. There are scrub oaks. If there are scrub jays, they can also be relocated and would be done properly. But these are environmental issues that are site plan issues. They are not rezoning issues. As to wetlands, there's only 1.56 acres of wetlands on this entire 58 parcel. So wetlands is not an issue, and county code will be required. The only rezoning that's been done in this area recently is the Watermark PUD. That was a 2018 rezoning. Those lot size are 40 feet. Actually, 40 foot by 100. There are 4,800 square feet lots. So what was done in 2018 is even smaller than what's being asked for today. They had 129 acres and 417 lots were approved. That was a density of 3.8 acres. In December of 2020, it was revised to 363 lots, which is 3 units to the acre. If you look at what we're proposing, our density is less than anything else at 2.6 units to the acre, whereas the old BDP was 3 units to the acre. The development to the north is 3.4 units to the acre, and the development to the east, the existing mobile home park, is 3.7 units to the acre. As to compatibility, these are manufactured homes. There are many manufactured home developments in the neighborhood, in the area. This is the same size lots as what is surrounding it to the north and to the east. They're larger lots than what was approved by the County Commission and I believe by you all with the PUD for Watermark. This is not inconsistent with the Port St. John Small Area Study, and it is consistent with the Brevard County Comprehensive Plan. There's been concerns raised about property values and that they will be devalued. There's no evidence as to how they will be devalued, how much they'll be devalued, and the administrative policies of the Comprehensive Code requires competent substantial evidence to show that. People are merely speculating. However, I have in the packet that was presented to Port St. John information on property appraisals. I think you all are pretty much familiar with property appraisals. They use similar house types. So a manufactured home is not going to be used to evaluate the value of a concrete block home or a single family home. These are going to be new constructed homes. They're each going to have their own lots, and they're manufactured homes built to HUD standards. As Mr. DeToro will explain to you, in the packet presented to the Port St. John Dependent Special District Board are a list of HUD requirements that requires wind ratings, building code standards, and things along those lines, which Mr. DeToro can tell you. But these will be built to 100-mile-an-hour wind standard, so they are well-constructed homes. In summary, these are less units being proposed. This is going to be 150 units on 58 acres versus the 154 units on 51 acres. It's also taking out a 7-acre parcel of BU1 behind Winn-Dixie that actually has no access, and it will be part of the housing development as well. Looking at that 7 acres, you could put anywhere from a 55 to 70,000 square foot shopping center there, which would put trips of anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 trips a day on US 1 in that area. So this will be taking that away and creating less traffic overall than this earlier development would have. Using the ITE trip manual rates from 2016, because that's all I could find on the internet, 154 single-family homes as proposed on the 51 acres would generate 1,471 trips per day. 150 manufactured homes, their rate is much smaller, it's 4.67 per day. That would have 700 trips per day, almost less than half of what would be for single-family homes. And if you take the shopping center at just 56,000 square foot, you'd have 2,400 a day. So this will have significantly less traffic generation in this area of Port St. John, and that's been an issue that's been raised by neighbors as well. With that, I would request the ability to ask questions of those testifying before you if necessary. I'd request rebuttal time and request approval of the rezoning request to TR1, removal of the BDP and imposition of the new BDP. And if you have any questions, I am here to answer them.
We'll wait till you bring you back. How about
Okay.
that?
Thank you, sir. And Mr. DeToro will come next.
Good
afternoon.
If you could state your name and address, sir, for the record.
Yes, sir. The name is Nicholas DeTore, and that's 4425 Sheridan Avenue, Cocoa, Florida, 32926. I've been asked to speak on the matter of quality and construction as far as the new manufactured homes. But I would like to comment on this. I believe that workers, students, single moms, downsizing retirees, people of modest means deserve more quality housing options than what presently exist in the county. Which is why I'm before you again with another affordable housing community featuring manufactured homes. My vision for this project requires an investment of $14 to $15 million, which includes brand new 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes manufactured by Jacobson Home. They're in Plant City, Florida. Been here since 1953. Stellar reputation. We may look at Palm Harbor. Again, stellar reputation, Florida-based manufacturer. Funding is approved and available upon issuance of a building permit. I want to make that clear. This isn't pie in the sky. So my goal in the next few minutes is to, if you will, dispel some misinformation about manufactured homes. Because today's manufactured home is not the same thing as pre-1976. The term manufactured home, mobile home are often used by the general public and government departments to describe the same type of home. Mobile homes and manufactured homes were finally distinguished from each other in 1976 when the National Mobile Home Construction and Safety Act became effective, the HUD code, if you will. So a manufactured home is required to be built on a permanent steel chassis. Wheels for transport on the highways, which means that they must comply with certain DOT requirements as well. When they go on the highway, we have other compliance issues that are dealt with. The manufactured homes of today are extremely different than the homes built prior to 1976. So the intent of the HUD code was to improve durability and quality of manufactured homes. And it's the only federally regulated national building code. Now, the Act, generally known as the HUD Code, sets standards for design and construction, body and frame requirements, thermal protection, plumbing and electrical, fire safety, and energy efficiency. And the code looks to, if you will, American National Standards Institute, ANSI. It looks to the American Architectural and Manufacturers Association, National Fire Protection, NFPA, and others. So manufactured homes are built in 3 standard sizes: single wide, double wide, and triple wide. They're built entirely inside building facilities that are climate controlled to avoid, weather delays, etc. Each home is internally inspected multiple times throughout the phases of construction to confirm proper construction and quality. Factory tours are available to anyone that would like to go down there and watch from the ground up the construction of one of these manufactured homes. Now, if the home can be placed on blocks or metal piers, skirting can be added to make the home more visibly appealing. They can also be placed on permanent foundation or on a basement, just like a site-built home. They can be relocated, however, with the help of a contractor that specializes in manufactured home setup and delivery. So I want to emphasize, installation of manufactured homes has to be done by a Florida-licensed installer. Not everybody can install these manufactured homes. We will provide a concrete pad on which the manufactured homes will sit. We're not using blocks on pier bases. We're going with full concrete pads, if you will. The best part of the HUD code, if I may say so, is that there's a dispute resolution program within the code. So if a consumer is unhappy with the quality of the home and the manufacturer or the dealer or us, for that fact, don't satisfy their requests, they can actually submit to through that dispute resolution program, and I think that's section 3280 that's referred to in the code. So I also want to emphasize the wind zone issue. It's come up. Some letters have talked about, oh, these things are terrible in hurricanes. Well, we have wind zone 1 and 2 requirements, and if I may, am I allowed to? Here's the wind zone.
Well, do they have a copy of this?
Okay.
No, do they have a copy of it
The wind
in-house?
zone maps. Okay.
Yeah.
There's plenty of copies, there's 11 copies. So just give them one and hand out the rest.
Thank you. We are in wind zone 1, which is pegged at 100 miles an hour. Wind zone 2 is 110 miles an hour. I want to emphasize the difference in the construction of manufactured homes in connection with this wind zone map and the wind zones.
Thank you, sir.
Sidewalls, roof, nothing is different between a home that is constructed for 100-mile-an-hour wind zones versus 110. The only thing that's different in the homes is how they're anchored to the ground, and we are required to anchor them, and inspections, county inspections, strictly enforce how these homes are anchored into the ground. That's the only difference between wind zones 2 and 3. A couple of months ago, when we looked at this project, I engaged the services of MBV Engineering to assist me with development of a concept plan. Last month, I used the services of Atlantic Environmental Services to do an assessment of gopher tortoises and the scrub jay issue, even though we couldn't do a formal survey until we hit March. I also engaged the services of Susan Hall, who is a Florida registered landscape architect, to look at the scrub oak issue, look at our proposed concept plan, work with MBV, and try to come up with something that was doable. And so all of these resources and all of this expertise is already on board with us. So with that, if you feel that this project is viable and the use of this property, in your opinion, works, I look forward to working with you, and I'm sure my team will look forward to working with the county in any way we can. It's good for the county. It's good for the people.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Here's the million-dollar question. Is there anybody in the audience would like to speak for or against this item? Starting with you, sir, if you could come on up. Yes, sir. And the same routine, if you could state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Thomas Amistad, 5941 Cedar Lake Drive, Cocoa, Florida. And I'm probably the only one that's been there since they started this in 90. And I've been on that lot since 82. The original zoning was GU1. They tried to get TR1 at the time. And we said, no, we're TR2. If you're gonna try to develop it, it needs to be TR2 because there's too much traffic, because they're gonna have all these people coming out Cedar Lake Drive on the bottom part, and then the top part was going to go out Clearview. They agreed to develop with the Power and Light Company, give them a right of way to connect the bottom half to the top half, and have all of the traffic go out to Clearview. In exchange for the RU 111, which will allow their increased density. The change they're wanting to put on the binding development plan for 5971 Cedar Lake Drive would eliminate the protection we had that they would run traffic through Cedar Lake Drive and out Broadway and Spring Street. I'm having trouble breathing through this mask. Anyway, the binding development plan that was agreed upon was that there would be a emergency access only road which would come through 5971 Cedar Lake Drive with a crash gate so a fire truck could get through there, or emergency vehicles. They're wanting to get rid of that so they can run all the traffic through there. I made note, and I talked to 3 or 4 people on Broadway, and they're not too keen on the idea of all that traffic. And for some reason, they limit the notification to people within 500 feet of the development, when in fact, all of the people farther than 500 feet from the development on Cedar Lake Drive, all of the people on Broadway, all the people on Spring Street, and the side streets are all affected. Right now, there's an average of 40, 50 trucks coming out of the mine on the west side of the railroad track coming down Broadway. There's semi-tractors, trailers, and other commercial vehicles coming from CBI, which takes care of waste management for port ships, and I'm not sure what all they do, but I know they do that. So there's plenty of traffic on Broadway already. We don't need an extra couple hundred trips. I'd say a couple hundred. They were projecting 700. But we don't need all those extra trips coming down Cedar Lake Drive and out Broadway. And as happens a lot on Broadway, they have some reason to shut the road down. And then all the traffic that would be going down Broadway would be going down Spring Street, which is not even got a line down the middle. It's a narrow road. And like I say, the RU-111 was the original compromise so that they could develop that property with a higher density. And TR1 was specifically denied because the county commission at the time decided they did not want more mobile home parks in this area due to the hurricane possibility. And so that RU-111 was the compromise. We didn't really want all that density in there in the first place, but we gave them that compromise because of the fact that they were going to get the authorization to run the north and the south parcel together, and all of them go out Clearview. So that extra density would be going out a straight shot to US 1 instead of a roundabout, taking several turns to get there, route down Cedar Lake Drive and Broadway.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Ma'am, if you could state your name and address for the record, and I'm going to...
I can do that. My name is Cecile Denning, 1173 Vineland Street, Cocoa, Port St. John. I have two major things. I had more, but I'll limit it to two. I would like to know...
Could you pull that microphone down a little closer to you, please, ma'am?
Can I take this off?
Yes, you're welcome to.
I don't know what the ratio to these concrete pads and the roads, if you take it cumulatively, versus the acreage, how that is going to affect the runoff, because if you look at the slope of that area, it's like, because I know we get runoff and there's nothing built there now. It's coming through the woods and it still comes down. So if you combine the roads, the concrete pads, and what else they're going to do, it's a big sluice when we get some of these gollywompers. And that's going to go either towards Vineland, towards the river. And if they do not get the stuff for not having the sewer things, what are you going to do? The water's going to go someplace, and if you have septic up there, it's going to be a mess. No, I don't know the ratio. I might be wrong. I never said I was right. It's just that as I view it, if you take the total concrete that they're going to be putting in between the roads and the pads and whatever else they're going to do, that's a big sluice that I don't know if the area can really stand it. Because you're going down with FPL, that's all, there's nothing there to stop it if something goes that way. and it's on such a slope that it's just going to go right to Route 1, right to the river. I mean, we see some of it now. It's not really bad because it's a lot of it gets absorbed into the dirt. But sometimes if you go to the top of Vineland, if we get a really bad storm, it'll come right through, like people's driveways and stuff, and it's just like a river.
Okay.
You know, so I don't know. This is just my thought, and I was wondering because you can't, you know, once it's done, it's done. It's not going to change. You're not going to jackhammer all the concrete if it doesn't work.
Right.
So that's one of my concerns. My second one is whoever went in to cut the brush, I'm assuming it was to do a survey along the edge of the property, and we border onto the back of it, and it became a super highway for kids, four-wheelers, everybody and their brother who was wondering what was behind there. So I personally am not going to be happy with just a fence. It needs to be a wall so they can't
Are
climb
you
it.
almost done there, ma'am? I'm going to give everyone 3 minutes.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. I would have spoken
apologize.
fast. I would have spoken fast. No, that was it. That was
Okay.
it. A wall versus a fence and a good setback.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yep.
Anybody else? Yes, sir, you're going to have 3 minutes to do that. If you could state your name and address for the record.
My name is Zach Berganti, 1101 Vineland Street.
Sorry, I messed that up.
Do I start over?
Hold on here. Okay, we're good.
Say my name again, or we're good?
No, we're good.
Okay. So, so I live on Vineland Street. My backyard would be the 29 lots that are on the northern section. And, you know, I have a lot of, you know, concerns with this development. One thing, I guess we'll start with the 100-mile-an-hour winds. You know, in 2017, Hurricane Irma came through and had 94-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And according to FEMA, 4 single-family homes were destroyed, 37 mobile homes, 2 multifamily houses, and 2 businesses. So 37 to 4 was the ratio of mobile homes to regular homes. Now, according to the Property Appraiser's Office, if you use the code 0213, there's 8,463 mobile homes, and code 0110 has 179,437 single families, which means there's 21.2 times as many single-family homes as there are mobile homes in Brevard County, yet 9.25 times as many mobile homes were destroyed from Irma, which was considered a hurricane we could live through, right? So, you know, there's been a lot of speculation on my part because I'm biased, because my backyard is going to butt up against this. My appraisal that was just done in January was $368,000 on my home. I have a 4,900 square foot block home that has a 15-foot between 12 and 15 feet from my porch to the property line. They want to put a 15-foot buffer and then a $14 million community. So if you do $14 million and divide it by 150, that's $93,000 per unit that they're willing to invest in this higher end, low income mobile home park. But I just don't understand how the math lines up. So I have a minute and 8 seconds left. I wasn't timed last time. So, you know, I don't want to sound like it's, you know, selfish, but if we eliminated the back row or that 29 lots, that would be less, you know, it would give the buffer to Vineland Street, the protected species, you know, maybe do an on-site relocation instead of off-site. It would allow less traffic through the other, you know, Cedar Lake, Clearview, and just kind of, that's really what we're asking for. Yeah, I don't know. I contacted an MAI surveyor. He said I'd have to find an exact example of this affecting property value.
Right.
I can tell you, okay, maybe it won't affect property value, but it might affect if you've narrowed it down to 2 homes, equivalent price, equivalent size, equivalent everything. One has the view of the mobile home park, one has a view of, you know, or whatever else it would be. I mean, it would just be speculative, correct. But that's what we're asking. I know that the response from the community has been overwhelming, and I hope you guys, you know, all take that into consideration.
We've got it, yes, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak for or against this item? Yes, ma'am. Or, hold on one second, ma'am. Sir, come on. You're.
Yeah, my name is Tom McFarlane. I live at 1099 Vineland Street in Port St. John. I built my home there on Vineland Street in 1976. And at the time I was told, I was checking, I was going to build in Titusville, but my contractor checked and said that there's a binding site agreement in that area behind us that they would only build block homes there. And now I find out that that really didn't mean that much, that it's not really that binding as they say. So now I'm worried about the value of my home. And as I said, I built that home with the intent that I'd give that to my children would get that property after I left this world. And now I'm just concerned that the value of that home is going to go down, and there's nobody they can't convince me that the value of my home is not going to drop once this is approved and started building. They can call these manufactured homes or anything they want to call them, but in my mind, there's no way that my property value is not going to drop if this thing goes through. So that's mainly what my concern is.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Ma'am?
Good afternoon, board members.
If you could state your name and address.
My name is Julie Lynn Ulrich. I live at 5965 Cedar Lake Drive. I spoke last week. I have a lot of questions, and I think someone needs to answer questions before we just keep going and saying whatever. I have been speaking with, I'm going to screw his name up, Ali Mullah, a biologist. He's aware of the animals, the protected species behind us. His expertise is gopher tortoises. We have burrowing owls. And any day I have 12 to 15 gopher tortoises coming into my yard from this property. There is an eagle out there. I have the Audubon checking into that. Someone in Port St. John has a video of a panther coming out. There's indigo snakes, scrub jays. They eat out of my hand. Now I understand, I can go on what I've seen. And I understand that these people own the property and they can build. In 2006, I was here with Truman Scarborough. And our concession was block homes. Keep it block homes, number one, because of the hurricanes. Number two, Cedar Lake Drive, if you could look at a map, I don't have one, I'm sorry. It's a small street. It goes into Broadway. You have mobile homes to the south of Broadway. They all come out of Broadway. You have CBI, you have the mining, 40 trucks a day. I talk with drivers. They're going, and I see them. There's too much. We have a daycare at the end, and we just have a small street. And if you put 40 homes at the south side FPL lines, I'm saying two cars per house. That's a lot of vehicles coming down our street and out on Broadway. The other thing is, my main concern is, and I would like someone to ask the developer this, at their meeting, these are not places for sale. You can only rent them. So we're going to have nothing but renters in a mobile home park. And our property, where I live, and to the north and to the east, they own their homes. I own my home. And I don't know if they decide to sell, if you can still get a VA loan for a single wide. And there's going to be a lot of traffic, a lot of kids. one school in the area. And if you go, and I don't want to put this on Clearview, but if you go Clearview, it's a straight shot. You don't have to come down Cedar Lake and all the other ones and branch out into Broadway. And I want an emergency exit only. It's a quality of life. And I don't have the proof right now. I'm working on it. I'm running out of time. But my property value will go down. It will. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. One second. Do we have any other that would like to speak for or against this item? Because I'm going to close that then. Okay, Ms. Kim, if you could come back up.
Thank you, Chairman Wadsworth, members of the Planning and Zoning Board. Just to address what you heard today from the members of the audience. First, Ms. Aldridge lives in a manufactured home. She lives in the Cedar Park Mobile Homes, also known as Cohen Trailer Park, to the south of this proposed project. Again, the developer does not have a concern with limiting it to emergency access. We just felt at the time when it was 200 units, that was too much traffic going on just one road, Clearview Drive. If that is the determination of this board that that should go back in, that's fine, or if that's an issue left to the county commission, that's fine as well.
Ms. Kim, we might have a misprint in our package. You're going for 150 units, correct?
150, yes. It was 200 initially. Based upon the concept plan, we decided to make it 150 because that's the max it could be.
Okay.
As to the stormwater and runoff, you all hear that concern quite a bit. These are very large retention ponds designed by MBV Engineering, and so the runoff will be addressed during site plan, as is the practice.
And none of your water can run to any surrounding properties?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And right now, there's no drainage treatment at all on that property, those 58 acres. Now it will be going into the ponds, will be treated. As to the 100-mile-an-hour wind concern of Mr. Brigante, these are building code issues. These are not zoning issues. It's not low-income housing. It's affordable housing. It's very discriminatory when they continue to call it low income. Regarding the buffer, there is a 15-foot natural buffer. Mr. Brigante should not be able to view the subdivision. However, Mr. Brigante does use this property for his own personal use, as it came out in Port St. John. He has a shed there and uses it for his own purpose. Regarding the property values, again, it's very clear. It's in the packet that I provided. What you should know about home appraisals. A property's appraisal value is influenced by recent sales of similar properties and by current market trends. They use comparable properties. A manufactured home is not comparable to a concrete block structure or to a wood structure. Regarding that, this was supposed to be concrete block at RU 111. There's no requirement that concrete block be built in single-family home. That's a mistake, and that's not in the binding development plan from 1991 or from 2006. Protecting the wildlife, I do want to pass this out because I don't think you guys look at this as often. I always go back to the code when I start this process, and I'd like to see what our requirements are for rezoning. And I know they don't need it, they have it. It's 621151. And I will give one to George for the record. Thank you. Again, this is amendments to the zoning map, section 621151. As I stated, an environmental study is not necessary for commercial, but for commercial and industrial, and this is single-family residential rezoning, also known as manufactured homes. What the items are to look at is the character of the land of the property surrounding the property being considered, which is manufactured home to the east and to the south. And it's also single-family home is the use, whether it's manufactured or block or stick. It's still single-family homes. Change in the conditions of the land use of the property and the surrounding property. This property has been vacant for a very long time. It hasn't been developed because there are some challenges to it. So the fact that it hasn't been developed is actually a criteria you can consider, that now there is someone coming in to develop it. The impact of the proposed zoning classification on available and projected traffic patterns, water, sewer, and other public facilities. There's no impact at this point to any of that. The staff report has a preliminary traffic analysis, which I believe is incorrect, based upon the BU1 zoning, which could have the 2,400 trips from that property. And this will decrease the number of trips because it's manufactured homes from single-family homes by the ITE trip generation manual. The compatibility of the zoning classification with existing land use. The existing land use is single-family homes. It is manufactured homes to the east, manufactured homes to the south. I know I sound like a broken record, and single-family homes to the north. It's not like we're putting a borrow pit there. It's not like we're putting a 9-story condo. This is all single-family homes. It's not multifamily. It is for single families. The appropriateness of the proposed zoning or conditional use based upon a consideration of the conditions and articles related to zoning on public health, safety, and welfare. And there's been nothing before you that says this is going to create a public health, safety, or welfare issue. People are concerned about crime and safety. There's no evidence that's going to be a problem. The decreased property values is speculative. Protection of the wildlife. If there's an eagle, probably won't be built. We don't believe there is an eagle there, but everything else, tortoises can be relocated, scrub jays can be mitigated. I did make a misstatement at the Port St. John. You cannot entomb tortoises anymore. That was changed in 2008, 2009 timeframe. So they have to be relocated. Used to be, there could be a take permit because many of the tortoises are diseased. Manufactured homes are undesirable. That's been in several of the email. That's really unfair and discriminatory. There are high construction standards, and Florida law actually protects manufactured homes from discrimination of zoning codes. That's in your packet. That's 553.38. And there's nothing in your zoning code that really distinguishes between manufactured homes and other single-family homes. People are concerned about a negative change. Again, people don't like change. You hear that every time you're here. People like to have the backyards as it was. They want their own natural park, which they've had for many, many years. I've discussed the increased traffic. That's not real at all. The residents, and actually some of these emails are from 10 miles away. Some are from 3 miles away. Some of them say exactly the same thing. But they're all speculative. They don't have any facts. There's no evidence in any of these emails. The developer or the owner, they're not required to engineer the site before coming for rezoning. All we have to show is that we're compatible and that the use makes sense and that we're going to protect the neighbors and follow the codes, and that's exactly what this developer is going to do. So with that, we would request the approval of the rezoning to TR1 with the binding development plan and removal of the old 2006 binding development plan.
I have a couple questions, Ms. Tina. Approximately, what is the distance on Clearview Drive from the east property line going east to 1, approximately?
Clearview Drive? Someone back there said a quarter of a mile.
Now, water and sewer, is that anywhere near you? I know you said.
Water is available, yes, and sewer is available from the county, but only for a portion of the lots. My client sent me a note that says, if we can't do this on sewer, it won't be built. If you want to put that in the BDP, that's fine, because otherwise we're bringing sewer from the city of Cocoa through Camp Road, through the Watermark PUD, or from another place 0.7 miles away. They are committed to put sewer in, otherwise the development doesn't make sense.
Now, just to verify, east of the property is manufactured and south.
And
manufactured home, south property line.
Yes, the south property line is.
And the north property line is the?
Is single family. It's RU19, which has the exact same size lots, 7,500 square feet. Actually, 6,600 square feet is what the lots to the north could be. They're all larger than that, but that's what the RU19 zoning is.
With the current zoning you have now, how many units could you put in there?
Currently, on the 51 acres, there could be 154. And on the BU1, I'm not certain, but there could be at least that many. I think you get one zoning classification higher. So, but again, you'd be able to put in probably 5 or 6 units to the acre on those 8 acres, so an extra 48 units. George is going to correct me.
The BU1 zoning has the same lot size requirements of 75 feet wide, 75 feet deep, and 7,500 square feet per lot. Normally, the density would then be like equivalent to 4 units per acre.
So if we did do this, we'd be cleaning up, just putting everything under the TR1.
Correct.
Correct. Yes, sir.
I have a question, one for staff. Our packet said 200 lots, so that was a misprint unless I didn't get an updated one. So everybody on the board, if you're thinking like I was thinking, they were asking for 46 more lots than what they were allowed, and this is actually asking for a lower amount.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure everybody was clear on that. And then the other thing was, is this going to be strictly rental, or will there be sales, or what will be?
The business plan at this point is, it is rental for 5 years. It's more of a rent-to-own program through affordable housing incentives, and then they can be sold.
Okay. That was all the questions I had.
But they are single lots. They will be subdivided and platted by lot. It's not a mobile home park.
I do have another question related to that. Do they own the lot?
Well, the
Is the-
developer will own the lot until they're sold, and then, I don't know.
It's too far down the road for me to say what it'll be honest.
The reason I'm asking is, I believe you developed a property in Cocoa that is similar to this, and they have a resident-owned, it's a resident-owned
It's a cooperative.
cooperative.
Right, it's a mobile home
Is this going to be
cooperative.
the same kind of cooperative?
Not at liberty to say right now. I don't know if it'll be a cooperative. I don't believe so.
Yeah, that was a TRC1 zoning with a conditional use for a cluster mobile home park.
Okay.
The numbers will determine that at a later date, correct? As far as the sales and all. So we just need to be concerned about the zoning. So we're looking at 150 units, getting rid of the BU1 and making everything TR1, and removal of the BDP.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for addressing the slope. I do see the retention, there'll be retention ponds on this property. Would that be dry retention, or would it be regular?
I believe it's going to be wet, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, wet.
And the wall, is there going to be a wall or a fence there, or is it going to be all natural barrier for 15 feet?
There's going to be a natural buffer to the north, as that's what was required in the 2006 BDP. There is a fence required to the south, and we've agreed to keep that. So there's a 15-foot natural buffer for the subdivision code, and then,
All right,
and there hasn't been a decision onto any other fencing.
And the natural buffer, is that going to be the 6 feet you mentioned here with
That's the 15-foot subdivision buffer that has to go around the entire project.
Okay, so the 6 foot would be the north and the south then? The 6 foot opaque buffer?
Well, there will be an opaque buffer there, except for what has been cut down already, although it would probably be planted again, that's
Okay.
my knowledge. So yeah, there will be a 15-foot buffer, but specifically to the south side, that was in the 2006 BDP, that's why that was left.
All right. You mentioned the block homes on the previous BDP, which I didn't see either. Mr. Hodges here asked about for sale or for rent as they were on. Regarding Vineland, did you say you wanted access to Vineland or no?
We do not. In
Okay.
2006, that was added to the BDP from the prior BDP in 91, so we have in there's a revised BDP in your packet, it's at the very end of the package, that limits to 150 units, and it limits, there will be no access on Vineland. It was never intended, but it was in the old BDP, so we left it thinking that would be helpful.
I am seeing two entrances and exits here. Do you need Vineland for, say, just emergency purposes only?
No, it's not
or anything?
Vineland. Vineland, the one is Clearview Drive, which is to the east, and then to the south is Cedar Lake Drive. Ms. Aldridge talked about Cedar Lake Drive because it goes to Broadway, and so did the first gentleman that spoke. We don't have to have that. We did that initially because we had 200 lots. We didn't think it was fair to put all the traffic on Clearview Drive. If this board thinks it's best to have Cedar Lake Drive as emergency access only, that is fine with the developer.
I'm just going to say a comment up off the cuff here. You definitely cross your T's and dot your I's here. Again, this is only a zoning issue. This will come up to site plan review, et cetera. This is a first step of many steps. As a zoning issue, I'm fine with it. But a site plan, everything, I'm not sure about. But that's for you guys to handle. I'm not going to make a motion just yet. I'll see if there are any other comments or anything like that. But those are all the comments I have. Thank you.
Another question.
Yes, sir.
Are you confident enough about the sewer situation that you can put that in the BDP? That there will be
Yes, sir.
only sewer
Yes,
and
sir.
no septics?
Yes, if they can't get the sewer, they're not going to build it, so yes.
Okay, so if anyone makes a motion, I'd like to have that put in the motion
Yes, sir.
so we don't have to deal with septic tanks.
Yes, sir.
Good point.
And another question related to you say you're going to be a concrete slab. Does that mean that the steel frame of the mobile home sits directly on the concrete slab?
Yes, sir.
So the axles are taken out and it's,
Yes, sir.
just for my own curiosity, do you use a crane to come in and lift the thing up and set it down, or how is that done?
There's a piece of equipment called a travel lift, and that actually fits underneath the mobile home. It's on tracks, and move them into place.
Okay, thank you. And then one related to that, is that tied down to the concrete?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how we meet the wind zone. Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Chair, if I may, I'm going to try to make this motion here. I'll make a motion to approve, what item is this, H5?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve H5.
H6.
H6 with TR1 with the new BDP to also add sewer and remove the old BDP.
I'd second that.
Got a motion by Pete, got a second by Joe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously.
Ms. Rosenka, I just want to let you know that the BDP I added sewer to the BDP. All right, thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
And you must be H7.
Yes, this is the Port St. John Small Area Study presentation, and it's not connecting. Jennifer? Oh, there it is. Woo! This is item H6, H7.
H7.
Okay, thank you. H7. In late 2018, the Board of County Commissioners directed planning staff to conduct a small area study of Port St. John. The study takes an in-depth look at the area's infrastructure and environment and includes the community's vision for future development. 10 public hearings were held at the Port St. John Community Center, directed by an appointed 7-member citizens group. The final recommendations are as follows. Relocate Brevard County Fire Station from Fay and Carroll Avenue to the west, which is more to the center of Port St. John. Ideally, the land owned by Brevard County at or near Fay and Adams Place, with funding source could be combined with MSTU and MSBUs within the boundary. Recommendation 2, adjust the Port St. John Dependent Special District boundary to match the small area boundary. less any lands that are currently part of the city of Cocoa or the city of Titusville. Recommendation number 3, change the future land use designation from residential 4 to neighborhood commercial on 2.392 acres located at the intersection of Fay Boulevard and Grissom Parkway. Recommendation 4, change the future land use designation from residential 4 to neighborhood commercial on .30 acres located at the intersection of Fay Boulevard and Grissom Parkway. No changes to the zoning were recommended. And lastly, recommendation 5. We took a look at the area of Fay and US 1. No changes recommended in the area of Fay and US 1. Current future land use and zoning designations are consistent. And with that, I complete that. If you have any questions, I think what we're going to do is vote to acknowledge the Port St. John Small Area Study, or not acknowledge.
Does anybody have any questions for her?
Yeah, my only question was, you recommended to change the land use on a couple parcels, but not the zoning. Is the zoning compatible with the land use?
Yes, the zoning was compatible with the, we're trying to make it.
Compatible with the proposed land use?
Yes.
Okay. I just don't want to create any more.
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming the number 1 recommendation is considered the most important recommendation of this. Is that correct?
That's what it would be from the Citizens Committee.
Okay.
I do want you to know that last week at the Dependent Special District, they recommended to acknowledge the study, but with the caveat that they do not want number 1. They found number 1 to be too expensive because it would be done through taxing them, just to move it about a mile to the west.
Okay. It seems to me that moving the fire station to the center of the residential space really makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's about a mile.
About a mile. Because that would reduce the average response time for medical emergencies and fire emergencies. I know one of the residents spoke about fire emergencies, but in my thinking is that medical emergencies are more important and probably more frequent than an actual fire emergency.
I think they have currently met the level of service required. Also, my understanding is the fire department looks at every area throughout the county, and they decide, are they meeting those goals that we have in our comp plan? And they're looking to take a look into this area.
Do we have any information on when that needs assessment might be authorized or completed, or?
My understanding is it's starting soon, so that's a good sign.
Okay. In thinking about moving the fire station, I would think that would make sense unless there's going to be another fire station come out of this needs assessment, in which case if the second fire station is added, then it doesn't make any sense to move it.
That makes
The
sense.
two should be considered together and taken that into account. Don't have any other comments. I think we should acknowledge the receipt of the study, and I kind of agree with the assessment that the people made at the Port St. John group at that board meeting.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I did have one concern. It said, and Ron, you kind of put my concerns at ease, but just wanted to bring it up either way. Due to the pandemic, the final committee meeting took place September 24th. Was the committee meetings less frequent because of the COVID pandemic?
Yes.
Or they were?
Yeah. Yes.
So could this have been more information provided if it was
No.
regular times?
We still had the same amount of meetings. We just had to have a break in there until we got COVID under control.
Okay, all right, so everything, whether it
Same
was
amount.
COVID or not, it would be the same amount?
Yes.
Gotcha. All right, thank you very much.
And we're just acknowledging receipt, not approving what's in it.
Correct.
Okay.
Is that a second? Mr. Ron, did you make a motion to acknowledge?
Yes, yes, I did.
Okay, we got a motion by Ron to acknowledge. We got a second by Brian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, item H2. Is everyone present now? Hold on one second, sir. He's going to...
Hi, I'm Dave Menzel, 395 Stand Drive in Melbourne, Florida. I'm here, what we're trying to do is just rezone a piece of property. It's currently BU1. Want to rezone the back portion of it to BU2 to be compatible with all the other adjacent zonings around it. So the front will stay BU1. The back is surrounded by BU2, IU, and a small portion of GU. There's a residence to the north. Part of the requirement is to put a 6-foot wall. The majority of the adjacent property will stay in the BU1 zoning that currently exists. There's only a small portion that extends into the backyard of that residence. And that residence to the north, there currently is BU2 zoning that surrounds the back of it, about the same distance that we're asking for. We had an environmental study done. There's no wetlands on the property. I have a copy of that if you want to see a copy of that. And we do plan to do warehousing, which is going to create minimal traffic on US 1. I know there was a comment about that. So as warehousing, and we don't have a problem if you add that. What we're looking at is a couple of warehouse buildings, be 9,000 square foot each, 2 parking spaces per 1,000. And I think, and there's no plans right now to do anything on the front piece that will stay BU1.
Now, when you're saying the front piece, that goes all the way out to US 1, correct?
Yes, sir. It fronts US 1.
Okay.
And what it is, it is 150-foot separation, so that it would extend back to the west 150 feet, and then the whole back end of the property would be BU2. That's where the zoning change occurs on the south property, and we just maintained that line. So you have a existing BU2 zoning on the south parcel, and IU, 2 zonings there. All the way across the back is BU2. Around to the north portion is BU2, and then there's a small portion that's probably 50 feet maybe, not even that would be 30 feet that is GU,
right,
which is transitional.
Okay. Well, there's nobody in the audience to ask if they're for or against this item. Would you like to speak, sir?
Yes, sir. I have some questions.
Well, hold on here. Let me get with him, and then we'll bring y'all back up. Okay, if you could come up to the podium there and state your name and address for the record.
This is nice. We installed this 7 years ago. I'm Robert Paul Higgins with Electric Picture, and we occupy the property to the south and southwest of the said property. Want to welcome you to the neighborhood. Just a couple of comments. This property in the past had been occupied by out-of-area owners. I believe they were from Pembroke Pines. And vegetation is overgrown just really badly. I don't think they'd set foot there in 20 years since they'd been there. So I've gone to great lengths to try to keep the vines off the fences, to thin things out, because we have to take care of a fairly large retention pond in that part of the area. I don't have a map here, unfortunately, but you certainly could see it if you pulled down the map. I don't have a problem with what you're doing with the warehousing. I just Well, I guess I would like to see a site map, and I don't know if that's available for the public, just to make sure, because we wanted to improve the area around the retention pond. It was badly overgrown, and I've already spent about $4,300 to clear out trees and bush hog and do a bunch of things to try to make it look a little more attractive on Anderson Way. And that's all I wanted to say, was to see if maybe we could get an understanding of how the site plan would be used.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing that, I bring it back to the board. Did the board have any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chair, I imagine with the site plan, you're going to clean the property up.
It's going to be a lovely, we're going to clean it all up. It's going to be lovely. It's going to be a nice addition.
Does that suffice, sir?
No, I just said I was going to clean the whole property up. When we put this up, it's going to be a lovely addition to the community, and it's going to look.
Great.
spectacular.
We can exchange cards, and maybe we can get that going. Great, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion to approve this item. Item H2.
And I'll second that motion.
A motion by Brian, a second by Pete. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Meeting adjourned.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.